So, you wanted to know more about the exaggerated latch or the Flipple. Basically, what you need to do, first of all, it's ideal if your breasts are as soft as possible. So, using the reverse pressure softening technique, which I sent you the link for. So, you're literally just making a rosebud shape around your areola, like close to your nipple as possible, and just holding it there for about a verse worth of a song, just to push all that fluid back, to try and make this area here as soft as possible so that you can manipulate it easier. Obviously, if you're really engorged and they're so rock solid, it's going to be really hard to sort of move your breasts around to help get into the baby's mouth. So for the exaggerated latch, what we're basically aiming for is to almost curve the breast slightly, just in order to create a larger amount of breast that's going to flip to the back of the baby's throat. So obviously this all depends as well on what angle you're feeding your baby. Obviously, because you've had a C-section, it's most likely that you'll be feeding cross cradle or rugby hold. So what you need to do is, when you obviously say you'll have your baby in this arm if you were feeding on the left side, and then you've got this arm free, put her arm nicer, this arm free in order to help basically manipulate your breast to be the exaggerated latch. What you want to do is always try and aim for the nipple to point towards the roof of the baby's mouth when you're getting her on. That's because obviously what we want to do is flick it to the back of the throat. So if you're not angling it right, you'll be flipping it to her cheek, for example, as opposed to the back of the throat. So if you hold her as you would normally on a cross cradle, for example, then the roof of her mouth is obviously pointing this way. So therefore I would need to do my exaggerated latch to point the same way the roof of her mouth is. So with the exaggerated latch, in the same way that you'd compress your breast, you can hold it at the same angle. And what you want to do is, when your breast is soft enough to be able to, you literally pressurize the breast, but more so where your thumb is than your forefinger. So what will happen then is your breast will tilt slightly a certain way because you've angled it that way. Okay, so if you're holding your baby this way, then what you need to do is cup underneath like this, so you can angle your breast so that the nipple points towards the same way the roof of the mouth is. So literally like this. And then as she opens really wide, if you know, as she normally would when she approaches the breast, she'll be really wide, and you'll press in here to make your nipple point in the opposite direction, so that when she comes over, you let go, and then more of the breast is going to get into the mouth at once, as opposed to you doing nothing and then hoping she does it herself. It's really likely that it's going to be a very shallow latch. So what you want to do is press in here to make it an angle, and then as she approaches the breast, you've got your compression here, and then you let go, and as you let go, obviously make sure she's nice and wide and really approaching the breast. Bring her forward to you. Obviously don't go into her because that's not going to be comfortable. So wait for her to come, you know, bring her into you when she's aligned and comfortable and you're comfortable. Angle your breast so that you're flicking the nipple towards the back of her throat, but it's the same angle as the roof of her mouth. For example, if I was doing this now, in the other way, it's not going to work because it's going to go towards her cheek, and we want it at the back of the throat. So you press in here. As she does a big wide open mouth, you bring her to you, and then you can release this thumb and encourage more tissue to get into her mouth. What you might find is you won't be able to just instantly let go because it might just slip, and then before you know it, you've got a really shallow, painful latch again. So try your best to flip it to the back of the throat. Once it's in, hold it in place for a while. Just let her establish herself and get that sucking. Feel yourself. Is this more comfortable? Is there more breast in her mouth? If that's the case, gradually you can sort of let go of that hold because she'll have established it herself. But the mistake could be if you did it and you've got a really good, effective, exaggerated latch, and then you let go, you'll find straight away she might have a little fiddle, a little readjustment, and before you know, you've lost it and you have to start all over again. So I would keep it quite firm in place. Again, hold behind her ears, you know, the bones behind her ears, not behind her head, because she's not going to like that and she's going to panic. So nice and strong behind the ears, but firm, So she knows that she's, comfortable, she's secure, she's supported, and then gradually you can release that. Again, if that's not working, take your little finger, pop her out, and just keep trying. If you were doing rugby hold, it'd be the same thing. So you'd support her this side, but obviously the roof of her mouth has changed direction. So you'd be using your thumb this side and trying to point it this side initially. And then as she goes on, you can release that hold and it's going towards the top back of the throat, which is exactly where you want your nipple to be. Hopefully that helps.